أعزائي المستمعين، أهلا وسهلا بكم في حلقة جديدة مع المحامي لورنس قاجي والمحامي جان شرودر. اليوم فقط موجود المحامي جان شرودر، وأيضا راح تكون خطوطنا مفتوحة لاستقبال مكالماتكم على 586-825-2015. معنا أيضا في الاستوديو العزيزة الأخت الباراليغل تمارا، واهلا وسهلا ست تمارا. Welcome, Mr. John.
Thank you so much for having us. Always a pleasure.
Always a pleasure. And today our subject is, I will say it in Arabic and Tamara will translate it. طبعا زيادة أسعار الانشورنس وزيادة الأسعار للكل.
جميع انواع الانشورنس راح الاسعار تزيد.
نعم.
لسبب او اخر وراح نذكر الاسباب. So today our subject is going to be the increase in all the insurance policies, the payments.
Yeah.
Yes.
So there's a little bit of news, and this I suppose this isn't new news in the sense that it was announced several months ago, but there's a new rate increase for policies that will be that has just taken effect as of July 1st.
هي كانت قبل كم شهر بأنه خبرونا بأنه طلع الخبر بأنه الانشورنس راح يصعد، بس من 1 تموز
يعني بدأوا قبل 5 أيام
يعني طب القرار بالحقل بأنه بدأ.
And this increase comes from what's called the MCCA, or Michigan Catastrophic Claims Association, who has a deficit because of several reasons, but and we'll get into those in a second. But because of that deficit, they are increasing basically the premiums that insurance companies are now required to charge everyone on their auto insurance policies. So if you have, and in fact, not just auto insurance, but motorcycle insurance as well. So if you have any car, commercial vehicle, motorcycle, you will have an increase in your premium on your next auto insurance bill.
Okay. هل شركات الانشورنس خبرت الكلاينتس، خبرت الناس؟
His question is, plus what you just said, that did the insurance companies informed the clients?
Well, yeah. So what it's generally going to take effect through the renewals of the policies. So basically, when you get another policy, you're going to see that rate increase on the bill, and it's going to be reflected. There's a little charge at the bottom of each bill that's going to say MCCA charge, and it's going to go up. And I'll go over the amounts of that in a second.
Okay. مؤسسة ميشيغان للكوارث هاي الفقرة موجودة بكل انشورنس.
نعم.
وهي هاي الفقرة اللي راح يصعد السعر مالتها. الكل واحد عنده سيارة، عنده موتورسيكل، عنده يعني كوميرشال مالت سيارات مالت يعني يستعملوها للشغل للنقل. هاي كلها راح تصعد. وهاي الفقرة اللي هي MCCA مؤسسة ميشيغان للكوارث، هاي الفقرة هي اللي راح تصعد السعر مالتها ابتداء من 1/7 بشهر السابع يوم 1. هل راح تبين هسه؟ هل خبروا الزبون؟ راح يخبروهم من يسوون تجديد للباليسي مالته. إذا أنت الباليسي مالتك راح تبدي يوم 1/7 موجودة بيها. إذا الباليسي مالتك راح تبدي بشهر التاسع،
نعم.
تشوفها بشهر التاسع. يعني راح تشوفون هالزيادة حتى الكل تعرف ليش زاد الانشورنس.
طبعا قبل ما نسأل أي سؤال آخر، نحب أنه نذكر مستمعينا الأكارم، مشاهدينا الأعزاء، أنه الحلقة تنقل لايف على صفحة إذاعة صوت الغد، وأيضا على قناة صوت الغد في اليوتيوب اللي هي فيوتشر راديو MI، وصوت الغد أيضا فيوتشر فويس اوف فيوتشر MI، كلها تنقل على كل هذه. والخطوط أيضا مفتوحة لاستقبال مكالماتكم على 586-825-2015. أي واحد عنده سؤال استفسار يقدر يتصل بنا على الهواء أو يكتب تعليق على اليوتيوب أو تعليق على الصفحة في الفيسبوك. Yes.
So now what's interesting about this is that last year, you may or may not remember, depending on whether or not you had a car with auto insurance, but the MCCA wrote everyone a $400 check, okay, saying you purchased auto insurance and therefore, and we have a huge surplus, and therefore we're going to reimburse people with auto insurance, okay? And so they sent out all these checks. And this year they're saying we have a huge deficit.
What is it?
Right. So how did this happen? Right. So in fact, they have such a huge deficit that they're increasing, essentially the amount of the assessment by, I mean, frankly, as much as about 50% on top of the old assessment. So just as an example, right now people are paying for a regular motor vehicle.
Yes.
They're paying about $86 for an unlimited policies MCCA assessment. That's just an additional charge on top of your insurance charge.
For each car?
For each car.
Wow.
Per vehicle, they're paying $86. But this next, as of July 1st, now policies are going to be charging you $122 per vehicle. So it went up significantly.
اوكي سو احنا العام اذا نتذكر واللي عنده سياره اكثر الاغلبيه المواطنين استلموا تشيك من الانشورنس مالتهم $400
صحيح.
الكل سياره.
صحيح.
اللي هي بالضبط هاي اجتي من شركه ميشيغان للكوارث، اللي هي فقره من فقرات الانشورنس اللي كل واحد لازم يدفعها، لانه قالوا عندنا ربح كبير وراح نرجع لكم مصاريف. هالسنة قالوا احنا خسرانين ولازم
ناخذ منكم فلوس.
لا بالضبط. اذا عندك انت البوليسي مالتك عندك سيارة واحدة، سيارة عادية، الشركة ميشيغان للكوارث تكلف السيارة الوحدة $86.
نعم.
من 1/7 يعني زيدوها راح تصير الكل سيارة $122.
يعني زادت حوالي $36-40
بالضبط.
Now, and here's what else is interesting. That $86 was for those people who purchased unlimited personal injury protection benefits. Previously, anyone who didn't purchase the unlimited option. So let's say you purchased, remember in this show we've talked before about you have choice and you can purchase $50,000 or $250,000. Everybody's now paying more. Even if you opt out of the unlimited benefits, what they call the deficit recoupment charge for everyone is essentially this $48 on top of the premium. So even if you opt out, you're still actually having to pay into this MCCA fund now, which is interesting.
مثل ما قلنا بالسابق بأنه إحنا تقدر تختار الانشورنس مالتك بأنه بالضبط الطبابة مفتوحة لو 250 لو 50 لو تقدر همينة ما تختارها. ويعتمد هذا على شركة ميشيغان للكوارث. إذا أنت عندك الطبابة مفتوحة معناته كنت تدفع $86. هسه حتى لو ما تطلب ما تريد يعني طبابة همينة لازم تدفع لهم مصاريف.
يعني تريد ما تريد
لازم تدفع.
Exactly. So now, what is the MCCA and why are they charging us, right? That's the question. So the MCCA is basically, it's technically a private company, but it's an unincorporated nonprofit association. Okay. And what that was, and what it is it was created in 1978 to basically pay the expenses that the insurance companies had to incur in what we call catastrophic claims. So where someone's really badly injured. Let's say they have a traumatic brain injury, and they're going to need attendant care or nursing care the rest of their lives, right? And this can cost millions upon millions. And so what the legislature did, this was back in 1978, okay? They said, well, we don't want insurance companies to go bankrupt. So we're going to make sure that any claims over a certain dollar value, and it's gone up over time, but any claims over a certain dollar value will actually be covered by the taxpayers of Michigan. Okay. Yes. And this has been ongoing. It's been raised, it used to be 300,000. Right now it's actually 600,000. So any claims that are over if an insurance company pays more than 600,000, they're at least potentially entitled to recoupment from the MCCA for every dollar they pay over that 600,000 for an injured person. So that's what it is and what it's for. It's to basically recoup for expensive claims.
Yeah.
So شركة it's okay. It's okay. شركة ميشيغان للكوارث هي شركة خاصة بنفسها. بس
هي برايفت يعني.
برايفت بالضبط. تكونت سنة 1978. هاي سووها لأنه ما رادوا شركات الانشورنس تطلع بخسارة. أكو قسم من القضايا توصل يعني أسعارها خيالية جدا كبيرة. فخلوا فد حد معين بأنه كان قبل بالسبعينات خلينا نقول من بدأوا كان الحد المعين إذا الحادث كلف أكثر من 300,000 هم يجون ورا 300,000 هم لازم يدفعون للباقي للإنشورنس. وهاي احنا المواطن اللي عايش بميشيغان اللي يدفع التاكسز تطلع من عندها هاي المصاري. هذا السعر هسه حاليا بوقتنا وصل إلى 600,000. 600,000 فمعناته إذا أنت صرت بحادث وأكو هواية يعني مقعدين يصيرون.
We have a caller?
We have a caller.
All right.
اللي اتصل خليه يعاود الاتصال إذا أمكن.
We lost it. Okay. So right now is
صوت الغد. تفضلوا.
مرحبا.
أهلا.
مرحبا. بدي أسأل عندي في السؤال أقدر أسأل المحامي؟
إيه تفضلي.
بس هسه طلع هذا القانون مال هسه واحد مال التليفون أقدر مثل فرضا تجيلي مكالمة يعني تكون ضرورية أقدر أخليها السماعة مال الواير واحد كيلو لا.
Okay. Yes. Okay.
What's the question?
It's a very good question, actually.
Okay.
This question is about the new law to use your phone and not to use your phone in the car.
Yes, we talked about this a little last week.
If you get an important phone call, can you answer it when it is in your ear, like as you have your earpiece on?
Yes. So I we talked about this a little bit last week, and I don't have that statute in front of me, but I believe if memory serves correctly, the answer would probably be yes. The statute says that you must use your phone in a hands-free manner. So if you do have a way to connect it to your internal system in your car, or you can do with a single touch or swipe, answering a phone call and then have no further touching of the phone. I believe that's generally permissible. So yes, you should be able to do that.
الجواب يكون نعم تقدرين. القانون يقول أهم شيء أنت ما لازم التليفون، بس تقدرين تربطين تليفونك على السيارة أو على السماعات. فمعناته نعم تقدرين، لأنه أنت ما راح تلزمين التليفون. أهم شيء ما تلزمين التليفون. وحتى إذا واقفة حتى لو واقفة بالترافيك والأحمر هم ممنوع تلزمين التليفون.
وهذا السؤال أختي العزيزة.
شكرا. وعندي السؤال الثاني.
إيه تفضلي.
شكرا لأنه أعطيتوني خوش معلومة، لأنه على مود الانشورنس مالتي كان قليل، فرحت سويت زيت التاكتبل مالته، فشكرا لكم على هذا الشيء، وأشكركم وأشكر أستاذ مالح على هذا البرنامج.
يا أهلا وسهلا، شكرا جزيلا، وإن شاء الله
شكراً.
دائما
أهلا بك أختي. أهلا.
تستفاد.
شكرا. ألا.
She thanks us for the information which we are
Absolutely.
giving. She went and changed her policy to
Oh,
a better policy.
oh, very good.
And,
Wonderful.
And she was very pleased that all what we are giving
Oh, that's
was
wonderful.
That's
good.
good.
Yes.
Well, I'm glad to hear it. Thank you for the call. And we're happy to have any and all calls. So please feel free to call on in.
أي واحد
So-
يحب يتصل خليه يتصل على 586-825-2015 اللي دا يتفرج باليوتيوب أو الفيسبوك، موجودة الأرقام على الشاشة.
Yeah. Now, you know what? I want to make one quick announcement, actually. So Lawrence isn't here today, and I did want to mention why.
Oh,
So Lawrence actually he's actually celebrating the birth of his third child just yesterday. And so I just want to give a quick shout out to Lawrence. So congratulations
And the Qaaji
to him
family,
and the whole
yes.
Qaaji family on their growing wonderful family. So
الله يحفظه إن شاء الله ويحفظ المولود الجديد.
ان شاء الله. المحامي لورنس مو ويانا، نحب ان نخبر الكل بانه البارحه جت طفله يعني نبشره وان شاء الله بالخير والصحه له ولعائلته.
So that's exciting news. And I've only seen one picture, so we need more pictures now.
Oh, it's so cute.
We got to have more
He
pictures.
said one.
Yeah.
راح نقول له دز لنا صور.
Just one. It's just a teaser. You know, you got to have more. So
I saw more.
you saw more. Well, I didn't see any more. Okay, fair enough. Anyway,
طبعا لا زالت خطوطنا مفتوحة، اللي يحب يتصل يقدر يتصل على 586-825-2015 يكتب على الصفحة أي شيء يحب أنه يقوله.
so before the last call, we were talking
Yes.
a little bit about the Michigan Catastrophic Claims Association and the increase in the premiums that people are going to see, unfortunately. And I was kind of going to go into a little bit about why that's happening and how you know and why last year they supposedly had this huge surplus and this year they don't. And there's actually several things going on here. First of all, I think it's important to remember that, as many of our listeners already know, there was that change in the law in 2019. And that change in the law specifically allowed people to purchase less than unlimited benefits. The Michigan Catastrophic Claims Association will pay insurance companies for those claims only that exceed that certain level, which is above any of the PIP choice options. Okay. So the Michigan Catastrophic Claims usually would not come into play to pay back an insurance company for their payments for catastrophic claims unless someone has purchased unlimited PIP benefits.
مثل ما تفضل المحامي قال بأنه راح نشرح ليش مؤسسة ميشيغان الكوارث قبل كانت رابحة وبعدين هسه خسرت.
ليش خسرت؟
مثل ما الكل أعتقد هسه يعرف، فما قد حكينا بهالموضوع. بال 2019 القانون تغير.
نعم.
كانوا ينطون بس مؤسسة الكوارث تنطي بس يعني إذا عندك الطبابة مفتوحة. ذاك الوقت عندك هاي المؤسسة تقدر تنطي مصاريف إذا توصل إلى هذا الحد المعين.
نعم.
لأنه إذا عندك الطبابة 2500 250,000 ما راح توصل ل 600,000، فهي ما راح تدفع كل شيء.
So
بس عنده الطبابة المفتوحة. Yes.
والآن.
And now.
So now when you purchased, or well, I should say last year or up until July 1st, okay, if you did not purchase an unlimited PIP policy, there would be no reason for the insurance company to ever have to use MCCA, right? Because it wasn't an unlimited policy, so there's no reason for them to have to pay over $600,000, right? So there was no additional MCCA premium that you had to pay on that policy that you purchased, okay? But they spent all that money. Specifically, not only did they actually gave that money back essentially to the taxpayers in the form of a small check, okay? So now they don't have any money. And then something changed, which I'll go into after you translate.
مثل ما قلنا قبل 2019 الكل كان عندها الطبابة مفتوحة.
نعم.
الكل كان عندهم مؤسسة الكوارث على الباليسي مالتهم اللي لازم يدفعوه. ورا 2019 كل شيء اللي مو الطبابة مفتوحة ماكو داعي يدفعون.
فلهذا ربحوا.
اللي صار ما قاموا ينطون فلوس هواية، قالوا عندنا هواية فلوس، هاي
ننطيها للناس،
كل واحد تشك صغير $400.
نعم.
هسه لأنه الناس ما قامت تدفع كفاية للأنليمتد للطبابة المفتوحة،
هم قاموا يدفعون،
فصاروا بالناقص.
Right. And so basically what happened is the insurance companies and MCCA interpreted the new statute to say one thing, and our Supreme Court, that is the Supreme Court of Michigan, okay, not of the federal government, but the Supreme Court of Michigan interpreted it to say something else, and I'll explain that.
فاتفقوا أهل الانشورنس والشركة مؤسسة الكوارث على لغة خاصة صعدتها للمحكمة العليا مال ميشيغان فقط.
And essentially what the issue was is when people were catastrophically injured in claims before the reform, right? Everybody had unlimited PIP benefits, right? So if you had an auto insurance policy in 2018, okay, if I did, which I did, right? Yeah. I had a car in 2018 and I was paying for unlimited personal injury protection benefits. And anyone who had a car was mandated to be purchasing these unlimited insurance protection benefits. So when any one of us were injured in an accident in Michigan before the no-fault reform in 2019, we would have had access to unlimited coverage, meaning if we were catastrophically injured, we were guaranteed that all of those medical bills, at least by law, should be paid from our insurance company. Okay. And what the insurance companies decided was that after the passage of this 2019 law, they didn't have to pay in accordance with their old contracts, and they could pay substantially less under the new law.
Okay.
So مثل ما قلنا قبل الطبابة مفتوحة، الكل يدفع شركة الكوارث. هسه ورا 2019 الانشورنس ما مجبورة تدفع بعد، لأنه كان بالقانون قانونيا لازم يدفعون. إذا كان عندك حادث ويعني صرت مقعد وحياتك تغيرت يدفعون مدى الحياة. يدفعون بالضبط. هسه ورا 2019 بعد ماكو داعي، أبو 250 دفعون 250 وبعد ماكو داعي يدفعون أي شيء. خلاص.
And I'll give you a specific example of a case that came to our firm. So there's someone who was in an accident years and years ago. In fact, 20 years ago. Okay. And again, he'd purchased and paid for in his premiums what was an unlimited policy of insurance, right? After an accident, he had a traumatic brain injury and required 24-hour attendant care. Basically, that's like having nursing care all hours of the day. Okay. He was, people who need this type of care, typically they could have balance issues. They can't remember things. They might take the wrong amount of medication if they're not monitored. Severe injuries, right? And this person was getting assistance from his family, okay, for 24 hours a day. And under the old contract that he'd signed and under Michigan law, the insurance company was required to pay for his family to take care of him for 24 hours a day.
Yes.
عندنا مثال جدا يعني احنا نعيشه هسه بالشركة. واحد من الزبائن قبل أكثر من 20 سنة صار عنده حادث. وقبل 20 سنة كان كل الطبابة مفتوحة.
صحيح.
بالقانون القديم. وورا الحادث صار عنده خلل بالدماغ. ويتطلب 24 ساعة خدمة صحية، خدمة بيتية، كل شيء. ما يتذكر، لا ياخذ دواء غلط، ما يقدر يروح الحمام وحده، يعني 24 ساعة خدمة.
Okay, now the new No Fault Act, the reform that was passed in 2019.
Yeah.
Well, what changed, for example, in this particular case, there were lots of changes, of course, but the particular change I'm talking about right now was that attendant care for family provided attendant care, they now only have to reimburse for 56 hours a week, which is only about 8 hours a day, which is 1/3 the cost of what they were previously paying. Okay, so all of a sudden, all across the state, okay, they were starting to deny these claims for family provided attendant care.
So مثل ما قلنا المريض قبل كان يحتاج 24 ساعة وما زال يحتاج 24 ساعة. بس ورا 2019 من سووا القانون الجديد سووا بأنه المساعدة الشخصية نزلوها إلى 56 ساعة بالأسبوع إذا الأهل دا يساعدون فقط. يعني هاي 8 ساعات بالنهار، هو محتاج 24 ساعة، معناته دا يدفعون فقط الثلث.
But wait, there's even more. Now, institutional provided care also took a huge cut. All of a sudden, there was a new rate statute that was put in place as part of the new act. So what did this do? It set the maximum amount providers could charge for all sorts of services, physical therapy, doctors, MRIs, but especially and including attendant care from a nursing care company, okay? And that rate was cut by approximately, or in some cases more than half, okay?
مثل ما قلنا هذا إذا الأهل كانوا دا يساعدوه للثلث انقطعت. بينما إذا أنت ما عندك الأهل ما موجودين لو ما يقدرون وعندك شركة تجي تسوي لك إياها، شركة تمريض خاصة، هاي الشركات أهل الإنشورنس طلعوا قوانين جديدة بأنه انقطعت المبالغ مالتهم من حتى إذا تروح تسوي الأمراض، تروح للعلاج الطبيعي، تروح قطع الانشورنس قطعتها إلى النص ومرات أكثر من النص.
So what did this do? Well, all of a sudden, all these attendant care companies, okay, who were charging, just as an example, and this is actually very close to a real example because I've actually seen the rates that they were charging prior to the reforms. You know, they were charging anywhere from about maybe $22 an hour to maybe $25 an hour for their services. But the problem is you have to pay someone to actually, these companies, right?
Yes.
They have to hire someone and pay someone to actually perform the services for this individual, right? So if that rate gets cut in half, okay, and you can now, this is the issue. How can you pay both the employee salary and still maintain any form of a business? And the issue is they couldn't. And this is true. This is documented. Many attendant care companies started just going out of business.
This is what I heard.
Yeah.
So أكثر الشركات الصحية اللي تعطي التمريض الصحي للأشخاص المصابين بدأوا الأسعار قلت للنص، المبالغ اللي تدفع ما قاموا يقدرون يدفعون الموظفين همينة وما قام يصير عندهم ربح، فأكثريتهم قاموا يطلعون إفلاس.
Yeah. So this happens, and all of a sudden these companies are going out of business, and the individuals who are injured can't even get their family to do it because they're not getting paid for the 24-hour care from their family either.
They are paying them only 30% or 33%.
Right. Yeah. So what ends up happening is, lo and behold, the insurance companies pay a lot less money, and the MCCA goes, look, this no-fault reform was a great idea. We've got all this extra money that we haven't had to pay out. And so they wrote $400 checks. Now, you might be thinking, I don't know if this sounds really fair to those people who purchased these contracts before this reform and were paying money on these policies for these policies before this reform. They get $400 and lose a massive benefit. Okay? It doesn't, and guess what?
Yeah, it's not fair. Yeah.
It didn't seem fair to a lot of those individuals.
Right.
and their stakeholders, including a lot of companies that provided these care. And so what happened is a lawsuit was filed. Okay. And this is what's known as the.
And this is what let the lawyers work more.
Well, let me tell you, there's no shortage of work for lawyers. But bottom line is a case by the name of Andary was filed, and that case went through the courts, and it was Andary versus USAA Casualty Insurance Company, and a court of appeals decision in 2022, this last year, said no. The insurance companies are not allowed to retroactively say, we're not going to pay for benefits that you paid for back in 2018, 2010, 2005. And you can't just change the benefits that were part of that contract. Okay.
So, مثل ما تفضل المحامي بأنه يدفعون أقل. الاشخاص اللي مشترين الانشورنس مالتهم صار لهم سنين قبل 2019 ورا 2019 الانشورنس قالت لا احنا القانون تغير انتم همين تتغيرون لازم فماكو بعد 24 ساعه تكون بس 8 ساعات بالنهار والاسعار اذا عندك طبابه وتمريض من شركه اقل من النص والكل سدت أفلست.
Over all this they raised the.
فلذلك مؤسسة الكوارث قالت شوفوا هذا القانون كله زين صار عندنا فلوس هواية هاي كل واحد إلى $400 فهسه اللي تأذى اللي معاقين المواطنين اللي متأذين من حوادث سيارات اللي كل شيء ما يقدرون يسوون ما عندهم أحد يجي يساعدهم بعد وما حد يقبل يروح يساعدهم. رفعت قضية اسمها Andary
versus USAA Casualty
ضد USSA Insurance. والقرار طلع بأنه إذا أنت مشتري إذا كان أنت عندك قبل الانشورنس قبل 2019 تبقى تاخذ اللي unlimited.
So now all of a sudden we have a situation where the Court of Appeals has said no, you still have to pay for these old contracts in accordance with what they purchased, okay? Which from a legal standpoint makes some sense. But now the MCCA all of a sudden will have to pay more. So when they gave back all that money, now they need that money back. So as a result, they are raising the rates for everyone. And what's really interesting about all this is, I'm sure you remember, but when they passed this bill, they said, you know what, this is going to be great. It's going to reduce everyone's rates. And I don't know about you, but I have not seen.
It becomes opposite.
Well, right. I mean, it reduced it for maybe a year. And then it's all right back to where it was. And frankly, they've raised other portions, such as the bodily injury portions. So, I mean, have people really saved money on their insurance?
No.
I mean, there was a report that came out that said the average insurance rate went up 7% last year. So I think not.
So, هسه اللي صار بأنه مدام المحكمة قالت لا لازم اللي مشتري انشورنس قبل هاي 2019 يظل على ما تقدر لازم ترجع لي ورا ما يصير بس تقدم لي قدام. اذا عندك القديم تبقى على القديم، اذا انت الحادث مالتك صاير قبل 2019 بالضبط تبقى على
نفس السيستم
نفس القوانين اللي كانت قبل 2019. اذا وراها لا غير شكل.
هي يعني الجديد راح يخسر.
الجديد راح يخسر. هسه شركه الكوارث لازم راح تبدي مرتلخه تدفع، لان هذول مدى الحياه عندهم، فانت فوق ال 600,000 اوريدي دافع، فلازم هم يبدون يدفعون. هم دفعوا ال 400 هسه يريدون فلوسهم ترجع، فراح يزيدوها وزادت من يوم 7/1. هاي القصه من شهر السابع يوم 1.
And oh, sorry, go ahead.
وهاي القصة اللي ليش هسه راح صعدت هذه الفقرة بالإنشورنس.
And by the way, that 7% increase from last year does not include the charges that I'm talking about that are just coming into effect today. So it's going to be even more.
ومثل ما عرفنا احنا ورا 2019 قالوا الانشورنس راح ينزل ويمكن نزلوا سنه وسووا العام سووا يعني تنقيح وشافوا بانه اكو زياده بالانشورنس 7%، ما عدا هاي الزياده الهسه الجديده فراح تصير بعد اكثر.
Now, to make this even more complicated, the Supreme Court of Michigan has granted what they call certiorari, or granting cert, to this specific case. So who knows if this ruling will stay the same or be altered in some way in the coming months. So we might see a whole nother adjustment next year yet again. Who knows?
طبعا هاي تقرير محكمة يقدرون يتغير، وننتظر نشوف من هنا السنة الجاية إذا راح يغيروا له راح يبقوا.
راح يصير.
Yeah. I mean, for what it's worth, I highly recommend that people just get the best coverage they can, because as you can see, there's a lot of games that can be played with this stuff. And the better policy you have, if you have an unlimited policy, you know that you're going to be covered for all medical bills for the rest of your life. Whereas if you pick any other policy, you apparently might still be end up paying some of these MCCA premiums, and you don't get the benefit of it. So.
مثل ما تفضل المحامي جان يقول لذلك نفضل بأنه الكل يختارون الطبابة مفتوحة unlimited، لأن هسه حتى لو تختار أبو 250,000 لازم تدفع مال مؤسسة الكوارث وأنت ما إلك فائدة بيها. اشتري ذاك حتى لك فائدة بيها وأنت
راسك بارد
مرتاح. بالضبط. إن شاء الله ماكو شيء.
لا طبعا.
وكل واحد يدير باله بليز.
دائما رقم تليفون المباشر هو 586-825-2015، وما اريد احد يخابر على تليفوني، لا اللي يحب يتصل خليه يتصل على الاذاعه على 586-825-2015، واللي دا يتفرج الفيسبوك او اليوتيوب يقدر يشوف الارقام موجوده على الشاشه. نعم موجوده على الشاشه. ف 586-825 هم نعيدها يعني 586-825-2015. نعم يس. واللي
ورا الشو مالتنا
بعد البرنامج تقدرون تتصلون ب 248-702-6641 248-702-6641. اللي يحب يتفرج على يقدر يشوف الارقام ايضا مال المكتب كلها موجوده على الشاشه، يعني حتى بعد ما ينسي.
والاستشارة مجانية.
واستشارة مجانية free consultation. وشوفون أستاذ جان يعني دا يشرح.
Yeah, I mean
you are explaining everything. Yeah.
Absolutely. No, yeah, we're always happy if people call into the show, if people call into the office, we're always happy to explain everything that we can to them. You know, as you just said, I believe, you know, there's free consultations for anyone who calls in. We're always more than happy to talk to anyone. Whether it be about their case or if they're inquiring for somebody else or if they just have questions about insurance policies.
نعم أي شغلة أنتم تحبون أنه تستفسرون عندهم أيضا محامين كثيرين في مكاتبهم.
So one of the other things that I was going to go into today was just some general points that we've talked about quite some time ago. But I think it bears repeating a little bit, and that is kind of the different types of coverages on the policy, because we continue to get a lot of questions. If I purchase full coverage, right?
Yes.
Or if I don't purchase full coverage, am I still eligible for PIP benefits, right? Do I have to cover the car? How does that work? And also, do I have to report family members on the policy and things like that? So one of the things I was going to go over a little bit was just when you're purchasing a policy, what do you have to do? What should you do? And what most people do?
مثل ما تفضل المحامي جان قال هسه موضوعنا الآخر بأنه إحنا تطرقنا إليه عليه يعني بالحلقات السابقة. بس دائما تجينا هاي الأسئلة ويظلون يخابرون ويسألون بأنه شنو الأشياء اللي لازم نختارها بالإنشورنس المطلوبة واللازم نختارها واللي لازم موجودة.
لازم موجودة ولازم نختارها. فنختار شيء لأنه هو أنت مثل ما ذكر المحامي جان، أنت راح تدفع هاي الزيادة راح تدفعها. فأنت إذا تروح تأخذ لك unlimited فد مبلغ $10 أو فد شيء بسيط راح تصير، فأنت بالنسبة لك تكون بالسيف سايد.
Yeah. So first, I guess I like to start with the last one, which is, what do a lot of people do, right? They try to find the cheapest insurance policy possible,
Yes.
right?
Yes.
And I understand this because, look, at the end of the day, nobody wants to spend money on something that you may or may not be using anytime in the next decade, right?
Yeah, but it will happen.
Well, but exactly. Well, the reality is there's tons of car accidents. This just happens all the time.
Yes.
And whether it's protection for your vehicle or yourself, the chance of you being in a car accident of some kind at some point, I mean, I don't know what the statistics are, but I can tell you it's going to happen.
It will.
مثل ما تفضل المحامي جان قال أول شيء خلينا يعني نتكلم على بأنه شلون نختار الانشورنس. أكثريتنا نريد رخيص ورخيص، بس أهم شيء إحنا السيفتي مالتنا اللي هي بأنه إذا اسم الله صار شيء بأنه ما يطلع من عندك ولا فلس. والطبابة لك موجودة. وهسه هذا القانون هسه الجديد اللي طلع أنت لازم تدفع لهاي الشركة الكوارث، فليش ما تختار الانليمتد أحسن لك، أنت دافع على الأقل عندك تغطية كاملة.
Yeah. So, and let me ask you, I'm going to ask you a question, a personal question, Tamar. Have you ever been in an accident? Ever in your life?
A thunder bender, yes.
So, yeah, you've been in an accident.
Yes.
How about you? Have you ever been in an accident?
No.
Never?
Never.
I don't believe you.
No.
Are you really?
Seriously.
You are maybe the only person I know who's never been in any accident. That's amazing. You know what? Yeah, I hope that never happens to you. I have been. I can tell you that I have been in several. I have been in accidents. I've been rear-ended by a semi-truck. I have been. I've had people turn left in front of me. I have had just little accidents where I've been a passenger and someone else has gone off the road.
No,
I mean,
John, I had an accident last week.
So there you go. These things happen.
Backing up in the garage.
Yeah.
And I hit my son's car.
See, there we go.
You did it.
I did it.
You did it.
And
you'll pay everything.
Insurance, but
not insurance. They will.
Yeah, and this is the point. The point is, look, if you live long enough, almost inevitably you're going to get involved in some kind of accident.
It was bad. Yeah, his car
it was bad.
For his car was.
For his car.
Yeah, it was
damaged.
No
way.
Oh, yeah, a lot. Yeah, I have a high car and he has a lower car. And a brand new 2023 car. And,
you hit the bonnet.
The hood.
The front.
Yeah, the hood was bended and all the sensors because they are all on front.
And you didn't hurt the garage too?
No, it was
on the car.
On the driveway.
On the driveway.
Yeah.
These things happen, unfortunately, and this is the point. Like every
أبسط شيء أنا بدي أحكي لأنه أنا رجعت السيارة وضربت سيارة ابني.
مو كان مدوسين بنزين اللي ورا.
لا هو أنا ما شفتها. ما انتبهت بأنه.
عالية هي صغيرة.
بالضبط. This is it. هي أنا سيارتي عالية وهو سيارته ناسية ورصاصية ويا
القاع.
ما انتبهت خلاص انتهى. ما انتبهت.
سويتي.
I mean, even the best drivers make mistakes. I've seen her drive, and she's a phenomenal driver. So
But still.
But everybody,
قبلهم بربع ساعة. أسوق على كيفي. ويا السرعة يعني كلش اتجنب هالسوالف بس
احنا نحب نقول دائما هسه بالوقت الحاضر بصراحه، خصوصا هذا القانون بالنسبه للتليفونات، رجاء يعني احنا دائما نعيدها بالاذاعه ونعيدها بالبرنامج، وتكلم عنها المحامي جان الاسبوع الماضي. السيارات لا تسوق بيدك تليفون رجاء، لانه بصراحه لحظه واحده 1 second تسوي لك حادث.
طبعا.
I'm talking about what you mentioned last week about using the phones.
Yes.
While you are driving, yeah.
I mean, it's dangerous. Probably shouldn't do it.
It's dangerous within a second.
Yes. Yeah. Things happen very quickly. I mean, and that's the reality. And so, now more than ever, there's more cars on the road than ever before. And, frankly, the reality is shopping around for the cheapest possible policy that provides the worst possible coverages may not be your best bet anymore.
Plus, Michigan, most of our streets, there's construction in it.
And there's another thing, construction everywhere.
Most of it.
How many people here have construction by or near their house? I sure do.
Most.
I mean, I can tell you my driveway, I can't even get in my own driveway right now. It is it is completely blocked off. They have carved up the road in front of my house, and I cannot get into my driveway. I have to park on a street down the road. It's ridiculous.
It's good because it's summer now.
Is it good? Because I don't love walking through the thunderstorm.
It's raining, yeah.
I'm not a huge fan of walking through the thunderstorm to get to my car a block down the road. But, I prefer having the driveway I just put in a few years ago.
Yes.
But, it is what it is.
It's okay.
Anyway, the point I was making was not so much about the construction. It's that shopping around for the cheapest policy isn't the best policy as far as what people ought to be looking for. And so I was going to go over just quickly kind of the types of coverage that people want to be looking at, right? So we've talked on this show 1,000 times about purchasing unlimited coverage. That's number one, and I'm just going to leave it at that for that particular type of coverage.
مثل ما تفضل المحامي بأنه احنا نختار احسن شيء وراح يبقيها لهاي النقطه وراح يقول هاي النقطه فقط، بانه رجاء اختاروا الطبابه مفتوحه. هاي اهم شيء، خاصه هسه راح تبدون تدفعون كل على المبالغ الكبيره وانت ما عندك تغطيه كامله لويش. رجاء اختاروا الانليمتد.
اتصور الاسبوع القادم خلينا نتحدث عن الانشورد اند اندر انشورد مقاطلخ.
Oh, okay.
What was the question?
No, Mr. Saher wants that we go again over uninsured and underinsured next week.
Oh, I was going to mention that today though too. So
Serious?
Yeah. Oh yeah. Yeah. Well, so in addition to the personal injury protection benefits, right, you have something called a bodily injury coverage that is mandatory in Michigan, just like PIP is mandatory, at least to make an election is mandatory. No. And the bodily injury is that covers you. If you make a mistake and you injure someone, okay, then your bodily injury cover will cover your bodily injury coverage will cover up to whatever amount that is. So let's say you have 250,000, right, in coverage. If let's say I rear-ended you, my insurance company would defend me and indemnify me up to that $250,000 limit, right? And then
as your limit,
as my limit, right? And they would pay you for your pain and suffering. Now, if your damages, if your injuries were valued at higher than that, then it would have to come out of my pocket. So having a high number there might not be a bad idea.
يعني إن شاء الله بالأسبوع القادم أيضا راح نتحدث. أنتم بالنسبة لنا صحيح محامين، لكنه يتحدثون عن الانشورنس أكثر مما يتحدثون عن كثير شغلات، لأنه الانشورنس جدا مهم بالنسبة خصوصا شغلة المحامي لورنس والمحامي جان، right؟
بالضبط. واللي هي يعني هذا الفقرة جدا أنا مختصة بها، وهذا شغلي بالشركة، بأنه نشوف التغطية أول ما يصير حادث ونمشي بالقضية. So we are talking about that. That is really the coverage is number one for you and me, when we work together, when a case comes in, this is the first thing
Yes.
we do
Yeah.
in the office.
One of
their first
one of the first things we look at is
the coverage in their
what
office.
does the policy have? You
Yes.
know, so in addition to personal injury protection or PIP, bodily injury, we just talked about those.
I didn't talk about the
Oh, you didn't translate yet. I'm sorry. I'll let you translate.
الفقرة الأخرى اللي همينة بميشيغان لازم تختارها إلزامي، واللي هي العطل وضرر. هذه العطل وضرر أنت تختارها، هاي إلك تغطية، إلك إذا أنت سويت الحادث وأنت سبب الضرر الغير أحد، هذا الغير أحد يقدر يسوي قضية عليك، يقدرون يروحون وراء هذا الرقم اللي أنت تحطه. كان قبل 100 زيدوه 250 لو 500 1000. كل ما أعلى كل ما أحسن، لأنه إذا الشخص اللي أنت ضررته مالته العوق جدا عالي، يستخدمون هذا الليمت مالتك، بس يقدرون، وإذا أكو لازم بعد يقدرون يرجعون وراء أشيائك الخاصة. همينة هذا فشي جدا مهم. أقل شيء 250 أقل شيء.
So next after that, as you just indicated, Sarah, it was the uninsured motorist coverages.
Yes.
So your bodily injury coverage is a different number than the uninsured motorist coverage. And uninsured motorist coverage is entirely optional. Bodily injury covers when you injure someone else. Okay, but uninsured covers when someone who didn't buy or didn't buy enough insurance, okay, injures you. So the uninsured motorist coverage is the biggest optional coverage that everybody forgets to buy. Okay, this is, I can't stress how useful this coverage can be. Let's say someone hits you and you don't know who hit you, right? They've either fled the scene or you were part of a multi-car accident. The uninsured motorist coverage could come into effect. So purchasing a higher limit there, very, very valuable.
مثل ما قلنا العطل وضرر إلزامي، الطبابة إلزامية.
نعم.
بس uninsured underinsured اللي معناته اللي ضربك ما عنده انشورنس، لو ينهزم، لو الانشورنس مالته قليل، هذا اختياري. فبس احنا يعني ما اقدر ما اعرف شلون اقول، اهم شيء تختاروا لهذا، هذا جدا جدا مهم. هوايه تصير بانه واحد يضربك وينهزم. دائما يكون عندك انشورنس، لو مثلا ضربك انشورنس قليل وانت اضرارك كبيره، دائما عندك معناته عندك باليسيات 2 تقدر تروح وراها همينه. جدا جدا هو اختياري، وهو اكثر الجاليه حتى يقللون سعر الانشورنس ما يختاروا، بس هذا جدا جدا مهم رجاء.
Yeah. Now, there's a distinction. There are some companies that will allow you to purchase uninsured motorist coverage, but will not give you at the same time necessarily underinsured motorist coverage. And make sure when you're doing it, you're purchasing these together, and the terms are almost identical, but one is uninsured, one is underinsured. And the difference is, if someone hits you with a low limit, but not non-existent, and you only have uninsured benefits, you have to go with their lower coverage than your uninsured motorist benefits, which is crazy. So just make sure you get both.
The last sentences.
Okay. مثل ما قلنا لازم نختاره، وجدا مهم. ليش؟ لأنه إذا صار عندك حادث وانهزم، عندك أنت ماخذ انشورنس مشتري بأنه أنت عندك تغطية. التغطية هي مثل ما نقول هي 2. اكو هوايه انشورنسز يختارون بس واحد، الاخ انت تختاره. لو تريدهم اثنيناتهم سوا، الكلام والشرح نفس الشيء، حتى دائما انت مغطى. لانه مرات اذا تختار بس واحد وهو ناصي، يروحون ورا الناصي ما يروحون ورا العالي.
صحيح. طبعا last words.
We're out of time?
Yes.
That's no good. All right.
Not good?
My last words is this.
Your last words.
Bottom line.
Yes.
When you're purchasing things, I highly recommend that you get all the different coverages you might need. They're all separate from each other. So just because you don't purchase collision doesn't mean you have PIP. And just because you have PIP doesn't mean you have collision or uninsured or bodily injury or whatever it is. So just make sure you thoroughly look through that policy to determine if what you have is what you want.
الكلمة الأخيرة بأنه رجاء من تشترون الانشورنس قبل ما توقعون. أهم شيء قبل ما توقعون، ورا ما توقعون بعد خلاص انتهى. قبل ما توقعون اقروها، شوفوها. إذا ما عرفتوا مثل ما قلنا سألوا المحامي، الاستشارة مجانية، اتصلوا بينا، دزوا لي إياها، أقدر أشوف لكم إياها، أقدر نساعدكم بيها حتى نسهل حياة الكل.
And you can find all this on your declarations page. That's where you see it.
وكلها اكو الانشورنس، اكو البوليسي كامله، اكو ملخص. احنا وكلها هاي موجوده بالملخص.
طبعا thank you very much.
Thank you so much. As always, it's wonderful to be here.
نشكر طبعا المحامي جون شرودر، ونهني طبعا ايضا المحامي لورنس بالطفل الثالث، ونقول له ان شاء الله يتربون بعزك. وثانك يو ست تمارا على الترجمة، ونشكرك وايد.
يا أهلا وسهلا.
مستمعينا الأكارم، مشاهدينا الأعزاء، كنا وإياكم وبرنامج المحامي لورنس قاجي. كان معنا اليوم المحامي جون شرودر والأخت العزيزة تمارا. نلتقيكم إن شاء الله في الأسبوع القادم وحلقة جديدة إن شاء الله. إلى اللقاء يا أحلى الأصدقاء.